Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Hope your weather is nice. It is a nice sunny day here in Vancouver. Chilly, but nice. But it does feel like we are on the edge of summertime weather right around the corner. We'll hope, hopefully. Quite often around school spring break time is a fairly common time for us to actually get a little bit of snow, like, just an inch or something, which is enough to completely shut down the city. Um, but so far, so good. We had our little spell of snow in January, and it's been fine ever since. So hopefully things stay the same. So we've got a lot of topics for you today. There we go. I'll move over a little. Yes, we've got a few different topics. Going to have a bit of fun with this. I'm just going to move my stuff around here, get organized. There we go. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. But hey, welcome. Thank you for joining. And I'm going to ask at the beginning this time, if you enjoy these weekly chats about all things travel, please go ahead and consider giving this video a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't hurt, and it does help out the channel. So I do really appreciate it. So there was a recent survey that said, asked people, with all these accidents, has there been a lot of flight accidents? There's been some, but they've been fairly well headlined, shall we say. And so there was a recent survey that questioned whether or not people felt safer driving to places in cars than flying. And so to break it down number-wise, between January and February of 2024, there were 173 aviation incidents. In 2025, there have been 99. So, not quite half, but certainly a lot less than last year, a lot less than last year. But that includes everything. That includes little planes, little commuter planes, and of course there has been some rather big accidents this year. But yeah, so as much as it might still feel like it's safer to be in a vehicle, I think we could all agree that in each major city that we live in, there's probably 100 car accidents a day, right? Yeah, so that was an interesting one. Yeah, I guess the question is, with less air traffic controllers out there, do you feel as safe as you did perhaps in the past flying to, from, over the US? There's a lot of planes at any given time. If you look on, what's my app? I think it's Flight Tracker. And you can actually, Flight Radar, you can actually see how many planes are in the air at any given time. Look, this is the activity just over Seattle. So, there's a lot of planes going on. And, then you look over to the Caribbean, or just in the United States in general. That's a lot of action going on. So, is it safer? Statistically, no. It's just like Rain Man said, it is still safer to fly. But interesting to note, and I think it's nice to throw some facts in there once in a while, just to, give you the perspective. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago too. But yeah. Now, travel impacts by politics. I'm not going to get into a political conversation now or ever about stuff, or at least I'm going to try not to. But the bottom line is, there are a lot of Canadians who have chosen not to travel to the US because of, some of the issues that are going on. There are travel agencies that specialize in Disneyland, Disney World travels, or they specialize in cruises, and a lot of those, as we know, depart from U.S. Cities, and it's our cultures are so different. I mean, they're similar in a lot of ways compared to other foreign countries, but I don't think there's a single Canadian that you could speak to that doesn't really look forward to and enjoy experiencing the differences. I mean, from New York to Miami to LA to San Diego to Seattle, Portland, Oregon. I mean, every single place is different. And so, it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people really do enjoy, seeing the variety and seeing how those places can be so different and yet actually so close. So we are seeing a lot of heavy advertising from tourism organizations from, Nashville, Vegas, California, New Orleans, and a bunch of others. And these are standing out to me because they're aggressively trying to advertise for people to come and visit. And some of these places like Nashville, not one that has advertised here a lot in the past for people to come and visit. So that part is interesting. I'll get a couple of comments. Bojangles, yeah, feel more safe in a plane than a car. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, here you go. So here's an opinion. So Mike Tech is saying that they won't travel to the US right now, travel to Canada, Mexico, Cuba, Europe. Yeah, for sure. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And so, for example, there are a lot of people who are canceling, Disney World, Disneyland, and instead they're going to Portugal or they're going to Mexico, that kind of thing. So it is going to change up some of those things. But hopefully we can all just reach some point of understanding and agreement and work together and go back to the good old days, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it is going to impact things for sure for the next bit. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said 2 weeks ago, it is going to impact travel prices for sure. The good news is for those of you who are planning to continue going to Disneyland and Disney World, it's probably going to bring those prices down because holy moly, those day passes are ridiculously expensive. It's nuts. Yes, yeah, this is a very good point. Yes, Bojangles is right. Canada is very, very varied. Yeah. It's the second largest country in the world. So yeah, by virtue of that, you are going to have uniqueness. Even from Vancouver Island to the mainland, very different sort of culture and attitude. Vancouver compared to Alberta, Calgary or Edmonton, very different. Very different from Toronto, very different from, Winnipeg, in Manitoba, where, in the summertime, you're hiding from the big mosquitoes that are, I think they're black flies, but they'll cut a hunk out of you. They're pretty brutal. And then going into the Maritimes, very, very different, very varied. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so now talking about this. So you will recall, perhaps, during COVID, Canada was not allowing any cruise ships to come in. That was in 2021. Obviously, everything shut down in 2020. And there were a lot of cruise ships that had a lot of issues with quarantine or people who couldn't disembark the cruise because no country would let them stop. So, there was some issues like that. 2021, a lot of things started up again. That was my first trip since March of 2020. And cruising was still going on, but Canada basically said, no, you shall not pass. And when push came to shove, because recognizing that for BC, that is a billion-dollar industry, and for us to say, no, 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 we don't want tourism, like actually we do, but weighing the whole safety thing, blah, blah, blah. So then the whole thing came up about should the cruise lines be able to bypass Canada? And this goes back to the Passenger Services Vessels Act, Passenger Vessel Services Act, PVSA, which was sort of like if it was related to cabotage, and what they basically wanted is they didn't want foreign ships to come into the US and be able to do a closed loop cruise, whether that's a vessel like a shipping vessel or a passenger vessel. Canada doesn't have that, so kind of makes it interesting. But of course, from Vancouver, where are you going to go? I mean, you can go to Alaska, you can go to Hawaii, or you can go south, and that pretty much means stopping somewhere in the US. Could we make it all the way to Mexico? Probably. I mean, they can sail all the way from Vancouver to Hawaii without stopping anywhere. So physically, is it possible? Yes. But I think, people, again, for 99% of my life, that has been an interesting prospect. Just the last few days that things have all of a sudden been kind of like, ooh. So, yeah, so okay, there's a comment here. Let me collect my thoughts. Oh, hey, Christine. Don't blame anyone not wanting to come to the US in this current administration. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, and I'm not suggesting that people should be doing one or the other, but I'm just recognizing the fact that some people are making these decisions. And look, there's some people that prior to any of this had a very strong belief of buy Canadian. And there's nothing wrong with being patriotic that way. But conversely, now people are sort of questioning it for other reasons. Oh, not much to say. Well, look, there's always the Mint. Banff is beautiful. Some really great shopping in Calgary and Edmonton. And actually, despite the whether or not it's the right thing to do, I grew up as a child going to the Calgary Zoo, so that was always fun. Edmonton is actually really pretty. Haven't really been much to Saskatchewan, so I can't say much to that. But yeah, there's the Mint in Manitoba, so you could go and print off some bucks. Not really. Okay, so where I was going with this is there is a new cruise that actually one of my colleagues is selling and promoting, and this is what it looks like. So it starts in Montreal. Let me get up the itinerary, and which of course I can't read, it's too small. It starts in Montreal, and then it cruises up the St. Lawrence River, goes to Quebec City, goes to Saguenay, goes through more of the St. Lawrence River, goes around to Charlottetown on Prince Edward Island, has a sea day, then it goes to St. John's, Newfoundland, and then it goes to a place called, and I'm not going to say this correctly, Saint Pierre and Miquelon, I'm guessing is maybe how you pronounce it. Probably totally wrong, but could be right. Which is actually what's it called? A French archipelago south of the Canadian island of Newfoundland. It was annexed, or sorry, it was had cessation from the UK in 1814. But it's French. And just to give you an idea of location-wise, I should have put this on the other side of the screen. I don't know if you have all these bits and bobs at the top. No, it doesn't look like you do. So yeah, you can see where Newfoundland is up at the top, and then this down here is a little French island. It's tiny, but it's French. So yeah, you actually have to have a passport for this cruise. It is on Holland America. It is 10 days. It starts in May of 2026. And I don't know. I mean, if you're Canadian and you are looking at doing something that you want to go cruising, but you just don't want to do that whole, starting from the US or whatever, this is an interesting one. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people knew about. I mean, I've actually, well, I had it for September, I think it was, of 2020. I had a cruise booked from Boston up to Quebec City and, around the Maritimes and stuff. But COVID, so I didn't get to do that cruise. It is still something that I would like to do. I think it would be very, very pretty, very unique. Just as Bojangles said, very, very different from one end of Canada to the other. So I think that would be interesting. Oh, Drumheller. Yeah, Drumheller is where they found a lot of dinosaur remains. And it's actually really, really interesting to go inside. I mean, it's been easily 40 years since I've been to Drumheller, but it is quite interesting. So there you go. There's another place to go and see. But yeah, this cruise is pretty cool. My colleague, I've put the information about the cruise in the description of the video down below, so you can see her link to her Facebook work page for that, and you can see the booking information. Basically, prices start at $32.85 Canadian, which, if you're American and you're watching this and you're interested, that works out to just under $2,300 American, which, if that alone doesn't scream volumes to another reason why Canadians are maybe thinking twice about going to the US, I think we're up to $1 American dollar is $1.44, $1.43.44, give or take, compared to a Canadian dollar. So yeah, that adds up pretty quick. But this cruise looks interesting. I might actually take Amanda up on it and book it for myself. But she's got group space on it, and it is selling out very, very quickly because it is such a unique itinerary. So if you are interested, check it out in the link below. But I think it looks pretty cool for sure. All righty. And now what? Oh, this was a fun one. Yeah, so there's been a few quiet openings and announcements of new resorts. We talked 2 weeks ago about the new Vivids opening up, the one in Punta Cana, and then the other one opening up in Acamel. Punta Cana is supposed to open before the end of Q3, so before the end of September, and then Acamel is supposed to be opening up before the end of Q4, so ideally sometime November, December. Hopefully those don't get pushed back. I do not know if they are new builds, but we'll see. So it should be interesting. This new resort is, where's my link? Oh, that's okay. Something got closed down on me earlier today and I lost that link. So let me just pull that up again. So this was part of the Garza Blanca resort. I'm trying to think where I saw that. I accidentally closed my browser like 10 minutes before going live with you guys. And that kind of threw me because I didn't reopen my all my pages that I had open. So that was kind of annoying. Okay, let me pull this up another way. New resort. See if I can find it this way. Probably not. Okay, so I cannot remember the name of this new resort, but it is part of Garza Blanca. I believe. Like that's the parent company. And it's in 𝖠eto𝖺𝗓𝖾. We'll keep feeding AI and see if it can eventually come up with this resort. Here we go. Okay, back on track. Okay, so this is a brand new, so this was announced as a new family-focused all-inclusive, and that it opened up in, well, one of the articles said it opened in the heart of Puerto Morelos, which is between Cancun Airport and Playa del Carmen. It's about halfway, maybe a third of the way along is Puerto Morelos. And this is where you would find the Margaritaville resorts, where the entrance to Zoetree was, Breathless, Riviera Cancun, and also near the Hyatt Ziva Riviera Cancun. So I was reading about this, brand new resort and family friendly, kids under 12 stay free, and that there's, 435 rooms and suites, 16 different categories, 5 different pools, 8 different restaurants. And I looked at it and I thought, gosh, that looks awfully familiar. And I was trying to see where it was based on the heart of Puerto Morelos. And it's actually not in Puerto Morelos. It's walkable to Puerto Morelos, but, it's a bit of a hike. And in fact, it is the old Azul Beach Resort, which was formerly known as the 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾 Resort. Now, that resort has just had a history of issues. I mean, I think it opened in, I want to say 2007, when that was just a little bit after I'd gotten into, a couple of years after I'd gotten into the industry, and I was down there on a fam trip, and the resort was open and we toured it. And I remember walking around with the other agents and we were all kind of muttering to ourselves, like, why is this open? Like, it shouldn't be open. It's not ready. And so sure enough, they opened it, and sales didn't go well. And there were some issues, functionally, structurally. Well, I shouldn't say structurally. I don't know if that was the case, but just decor-wise, they needed to make some changes. So they shut it down. And then they reopened it, I think 6 months or a year later. And it did okay. I mean, it was kind of nice in that it sort of had 3 sections. It was like a W. And the one section was family. And so they had these sort of unique styled family rooms, which had sort of a sliding door partition, which was like frosted glass. So you could have the kids on one side on a, what are those called? The fake beds. It's like a half bed. And then you had the king size bed on the other side for the parents, and there was a TV in both sides. So, that was perfect for destination weddings because you could always accommodate anyone with kids. And then there's an adult only section. They had their own pool and stuff like that. But there were just some issues, and overall it just didn't do very well. So what do resorts do when they're not doing well? They change the name. So this resort chain in particular, it was kind of like you couldn't keep track. So Azul Beach Resort, which was a quaint little boutique resort originally had 98 rooms, and then it expanded. It became Margaritaville, and 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾 became Azul Beach. So it sort of slid down the beach. What's confusing to the consumer, though, is if you're looking at the name and you think, oh, I stayed there years ago. It was so cute, so quaint, gorgeous, powder white, soft sand. Oh, I want to go there again. And you just book it based on the name. Well, then you find out that you arrive at a completely different resort, which has the same name. I mean, I could see how that would be frustrating because they are very, very different hotels. They're both nice, but just very, very different. And so, yeah, this one is now called the Palmar, Palmar. And yeah, it's the same resort as the 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾 or 𝖳tu𝖾 Beach Resort. So if you read about it and you're thinking, oh, this is a great new property, it's not new, and it's not it's just the old 𝖳tu𝖾. So it's worth taking a note of. But yeah, it's kind of you sort of think, oh, like Christine, I think you've mentioned this a few times where, for example, Cabo is desperately in need of some affordable all-inclusive resorts. I mean, even the basics like Dreams and Hyatt Vivid are quite pricey. Sandos Finisterre, it's an old property. And the oldest rooms on the property are the lead-in rooms, the basic rooms. I think they're junior suites. But almost without exception, those junior suites have some of the best views out of the whole place. So as much as I'll freely admit it's an older property, it needs to be updated. I mean, it's got a shower tub thing you got to walk in, and it's got a curtain. I mean, I don't like any of that. But those rooms have the best view. So when I go, that's the category I book, hands down. I mean, I'm all like, I love to have a nice walk-in shower, rainfall shower head, that kind of thing. I like the newer style, more contemporary looking. But I'll always book that category because it's so, if you're not there during whale season, which is about December to March, then at the very least, you're going to see dolphins. I mean, you might need binoculars. With the whales, not so much. But the views are spectacular there. But it's an older property. But it's also not cheap. It's quite pricey. But again, it sort of becomes a supply and demand thing. And then also the architecture of the place is absolutely stunning. It's built into the mountainside, and it's really, really nice. Time to plug in. But it's a beautiful resort. It's just that those rooms are old, but great restaurant options and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I enjoy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Good point. The Rio Palace. Yeah, I was supposed to be there this week, actually. That was kind of a bummer. But hopefully maybe something will change in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to get away. So we'll see. Oh, now you're talking. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I think I would still really prefer it to be on the beach. So if they can solve that issue, then giddy up, right? But yeah, we do need some more affordable options there, because really for affordable, you're talking the Tesoro, the Posada Real. There's others that are not certainly wouldn't be on the top of my list, and would be pretty far down on a list of other places to stay before getting to that. But there's just not a lot of affordable options. And also stuff that's like within easy access to either San Jose del Cabo or Cabo San Lucas. I mean, if you just want to go away for a week and be in the middle of nowhere, then it's fine to be in the corridor between the two of them. But I would rather personally be somewhere where I can go into town and walk around and, have a beer, do some shopping, whatever, and see things. But yeah, they definitely need more affordable options. Puerto Vallarta does have a lot of affordable options, but a lot of them are getting, like, they really are needing to be renovated. And Cancun, well, Cancun has the Vivid, and there's a lot of Rio properties. So, again, you've got options that way. But just as these resort areas continue to expand, it would be nice to see more affordable options coming available. So, I mean, we'll see. So upcoming travel plans, I don't know, where are you guys going? Christine, I think you've got a cruise coming up. Elizabeth, if you're watching, I think you've got a ton of trips. And I'm curious to hear where you're all going. Oh, never been interested in roofs, so nothing affordable for me in Cabo, and I went and updated. Oh, I want updated. I'm a snob. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just a certain level of comfort, right? I would have said to you 10 years ago that the Rio properties were on a different level than, for example, a Hyatt Vivid or a Dreams or Secrets. But in fairness, they have stepped up their game big time over the years. I mean, how many Rios have I stayed at in the last 3 years? I mean, I've been to the Rio Palace, Cabo San Lucas, the Rio Palace, Baja California, the Rio Emerald Bay in Mazatlan, the Rio Palace Las Antillas in Aruba, the Rio Paradise Island in the Bahamas. I think that's all of them. So that's 5. And then plus seeing the Rio Santa Fe. Oh, and then the one in Punta Cana that I was just at, the Bavaro. So I've stayed at 6 Rios in the last like 3 years. Just for you, Christine, I would just say you definitely do not want to you don't want to stay at a Rio resort that's not a palace, because that is for sure going to feel like a step down. But yeah, I would say definitely it's worth considering trying out a Rio. And just message me if you're not sure which one, because the Rio Palace Cabo San Lucas is nice, perhaps the best lobby bar patio balcony overlooking the ocean out of any of their properties that I've been to. That's the best out of the entire chain. But the rooms are old, dated, they need to be updated. So you would wanna stay at the Rio Palace, Baja California, because it's newer, more modern, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So if you're not sure, let me know. I'm always happy to help. Okay, MacTech, any recommendations for hotels or resorts in Puerto Vallarta? Got flights booked for mid-May. Okay, haven't booked accommodations yet. That's a whole conversation. I mean, are you going with kids? Do you want to have an adult-only resort? Do you want it to be walkable to downtown in the Malecon? And define walkable. For you, walking for 45 minutes, is that considered walkable? Or is it like 15 minutes? Or that's a taxi? And yeah, or do you want to be like away from town, but on a nice beach? There's, a lot of options that way. I mean, off the top of my head, the Sunset Plaza Resort was nice. My friend stayed there as well. He wasn't quite as didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I like the fact that at one of the restaurants, there were only 2 or 3 restaurants, and at one of them, the menu did change every night. So, it was the same environment, same decor, but different food. I'm okay with that, actually. So that was a nice option. That was pretty affordable, but they do have construction going on next door because they're building a brand new tower, and I don't know what state that is in right now. So that could be, a trading off thing. The Rios are inexpensive there, but they're in Nuevo Vallarta or whatever. Like they're north of Puerto Vallarta, north of the airport. So you're actually closer to Bucerías, a small little town fishing village of Bucerías, which over the years has grown, but it's still much smaller than Puerto Vallarta. So that's something to consider. Mid-40s in shape, no kids. So I say your short list would probably be the Secrets Vallarta Bay. Check out the Sunset Plaza. Hyatt Vivid does have kids, but almost all of the rooms have an ocean view. Not all of the rooms have a balcony, though. So if you really want a balcony, make sure that when you look at the room description, in the title of the room, it says balcony. Otherwise, you're getting a Juliet balcony or princess balcony. The door is fully open, like the sliding door fully opens, but you can't step outside, which also means nowhere to dry your wet bathing suits and stuff like that, which is kind of, yeah, I would start with those 3. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, those would be my top 3 to consider. So yeah. Christine says she's going to Orlando at the end of this month, French Riviera cruise in June. Nice. That would be lovely. I would really like to explore more of Europe. As I said before, with booking travel and the time difference and stuff like that, that has always been a challenge for me in the past. But yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. Well, you could check my room video because I did do a video of the room that we had. And yeah, I mean, I know you've got a separate door for the toilet, separate door for the shower. And because I think you travel with your cousin. So I felt, well, I was traveling with my husband. So my recollection of how private it was, I think it would be okay. But I'd probably want to go back and take a look at my video before I 100% recommended it. Oh yeah. One of my fellow YouTubers, she did a video of the Hotel Musai. I think she did the one in Cancun. She was there for a couple of nights. And wow. I didn't realize there was one in Puerto Vallarta, but yeah, that would be pretty amazing. So yeah. So I think, so my travel plans are kind of in limbo at the moment because of some personal stuff that's going on. But I think we are definitely going to chase the openings of the Vivids later this year. So Jeremy and Wendy, if you are watching and your respective partners, would love to connect with you guys at one of those hotels and see you again. They, of course, were there. And Angelo, of course. Angelo's not been on today. He hasn't commented if he's watching. Are you watching, Angelo? Are you there? Curious. But yeah, I think that would be kind of fun, and go and do all the videos and stuff like that again. Hopefully they'll have more activities going at the beginning. Still haven't got a chance to do the pottery, but yeah, those are 2 things. And then maybe Spain and Portugal is another option that I'm considering. Maybe doing like a couple of nights, 2-3 nights, all inclusive. They have all inclusives in Spain that are cheap as chips. They are like from the Secrets and Dreams brand, well, which is now Hyatt all-inclusive collection. I mean, Hyatt just owns everything now. So you have like Zoetry, and then you have sort of Breathless, Hyatt, Ziva, Zalara, Secrets. Dreams technically is on that same level. Then you have the Vivids. Then you have the Sunscapes. I think there's still a few of those. There's one in Curacao for sure, in the Caribbean. And then below that you have Alua, which is a pretty bare bones all-inclusive. Your drinks are included, and your food is included, but it's like buffet, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that was pretty much it. I don't even think there was a second restaurant. But it was Spain. So, I mean, there was a million restaurants nearby. We just walked down the street to get our food. But at least you've got kind of that base. You've got your accommodation. You've got drinks. They've got a pool. So you can hang out during the day. And then in the evening, go out and find a neat new restaurant to go and check out, or go sightseeing, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my plans. I had hoped to get to Cabo in this month, but we'll see. And then possibly South Africa next month, but who knows? Everything's kind of in flux, like I say. So hopefully for you guys, you're able to actually plan some stuff and get it booked. It's nice to have something that's booked and be able to start counting down the days. I mean, there is really nothing that puts me more in my happy place than doing that countdown and, just planning what you're going to do, and that kind of thing. Yes. Yeah. The Rio does definitely have all-inclusive resorts in Spain, as does Secrets and Dreams. So there are some common brands that you're going to find in those places that, so you can get a comparable experience. And honestly, I'd be curious, having been to so many Dreams properties in Mexico, the Dominican, I don't think, no, I haven't been to any in Jamaica. I've only been to Jamaica a couple of times, and that was mainly staying at the Hyatt Zilara, Rose Hall. But I would be curious, having stayed at various other Dreams and Secrets resorts, to truly compare from Mexico to the Dominican, same, other than the products might be a little bit different, in terms of, what kind of beer they have or what kind of wine they have. But taking that a next step and then flying over to Spain and comparing what the experience is like. Is it the same? Is it truly like unlimited drinks? Is it unlimited a la carte dining? Is it unlimited snacks throughout the day? This is that's how it's explained to be. But we all know that, is that really the case? Sometimes the brochure is a little bit different than the actual experience. And it's a totally different culture as well. I mean, that was the one interesting thing, is when we were in Spain, get up and go for breakfast, come out to the pool, and the pool would be absolutely packed, like every single chair taken. And we were there as a family reunion, so we were visiting anyway. So it didn't matter because, some people wanted to be in the shade, so everybody kind of was then in the shade. And that was fine. And then about midday, it was a ghost town. Everybody would just start leaving. I'm guessing they were either going for lunch or going for a siesta. I don't know. And then they would be back later for a swim, just as we were kind of we'd had enough sun by that point. And then they would go for like an early lunch or dinner. And then, this is one of these countries where they eat late at night, probably because of the heat. But, yeah, it's interesting. So sometimes with those different cycles working the opposite of what your cycle is, can work out really well. Like I said, first thing in the morning, no chairs by the pool. Later in the morning, no problem. Ghost town. Weird. What's Christine saying? Only other country found has all-inclusive resorts is Turkey. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another option for sure. Canada has an all-inclusive resort. We have a Club Med. It's all you can eat food and drinks, and depending on which package you get, it's all-inclusive skiing as well. So, because it's obviously based on a ski resort kind of thing. So that's kind of interesting if you want to go learn how to snowboard or skiing, whatever. All inclusive. Why not? Which, again, I would say probably by comparison in American currency is probably cheaper than going to an all-inclusive in Mexico. So yeah, but otherwise all-inclusive resorts, yeah, you kind of limited. I mean, they are sort of throughout the Caribbean, Spain and Portugal. I don't think there's anything in Greece that I can think of, but but then also it's nice to not necessarily just start off with the all-inclusive and then go and stay in a hotel and bounce around, and see different areas, and do the whole tourist thing and get into the community, check out different restaurants, do the sightseeing, all of that stuff. So it's kind of fun to be forced to have to go and find shops and find restaurants and stuff like that. So, yeah. So that's it. That's all of our topics for today. So thanks for joining. And yeah, the sun's out nice and bright and sunny today. So I think I'm going to go and enjoy the sun for a little bit. I don't think it's quite warm enough for shorts and t-shirt and sitting outside reading, but we are getting close. So, and then that's sort of where it's like, oh, well, it's nice enough at home. Do I really want to? Yeah, I do. I mean, you guys know I love cooking. That's my happy place as well. And I just find it cathartic, and I don't want to be rushing. I just want to take my time and chop the vegetables and fuss about with this and whatever else I'm going to put in whatever I'm making. So I do miss that when I go on vacation. But I do enjoy being away somewhere different, somewhere new, somewhere where they don't predominantly speak my language, so I have to learn a bit of foreign language. I don't have a pool. It's nice to go swim in a pool. Yeah, so yeah, I'd still like to go away even though it's nice out. And God knows Tammy and I have been away so many times, and some of it wasn't planned or intentional, but if you've got a work trip that comes up and it's in the middle of summer, June and July and August are particularly unpleasant, I think is the best word, months to be walking around in Mexico in business smartwear. And it's 30, 35 degrees outside, 90 plus American, 90 plus Fahrenheit, and touring properties and getting in 15,000 steps a day and not being able to go into a pool. So, yeah. Oh, this is a good one too. Yeah, it's nice to be waited on. Yeah. And then there's also certain foods that might not be your forte, which you can go to a restaurant and they're always going to cook it properly. I mean, there's some resorts that I've stayed at where they couldn't even cook ravioli properly. But it's a weight loss week then, right? But yeah, it's nice to go. It's nice to go away and just be pampered and maybe indulge a little bit. So thank you for joining me today for our little travel chat. Always nice to connect with you guys and hear about your latest travels and what your plans are, where you're going next. Mech check, if you have questions, just message me about Puerto Vallarta resorts. And yeah, and we'll be back next Wednesday, same time, maybe from somewhere different. Wouldn't that be something? We shall see. Time will tell. But still on Wednesday at 10, so we'll take it from there. Thanks for joining in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great rest of the week. And we will see you next Wednesday. So, yeah, bye for now.